Alright, so like basically I figured out a really simple way to explain to like pretty much anyone like what his politics was, like Guattaris. And it really comes down to like his criticism of postmodernism, because I think it really represents the junction between like his late stage like ecological politics and his like earlier work in like semiotics and stuff, right? Basically, the thing about like Guattari is that his whole idea was he was talking about machines. And like when I say machines, this isn't like a super complicated subject, but it's kind of abstract. So like if we think of like a factory machine, for example, it has an input and an output. We put materials inside of it and things come out of it, right? And then there's energy that powers the machine, right? And essentially what he is describing is an abstract version of this that can apply to many things. Like, you know, like it could apply to people, it could apply to parts of your body, it could apply to whole societies or small groups online. I mean, it's a very abstract idea of what a machine is, right? And basically, he said that machines produce language. So one of the things that these machines can produce is language. And because of this, right, language was structured around how the machines were structured, right? So what we have communicating to us, right, is based on how we structured the machines. So what he is arguing is that there is a big capitalist machine that is producing a bunch of the language that we are consuming through the form of things like media and our cultural values and the way that we structure our sciences, right? And what he's saying is that these patterns that we're being given are being repeated from, you know, the not just authority, but also distributed through society, through the language itself, right? And he wants us to gain control of the machines that basically that produce this language, right? And basically that's what he means when he's talking about, like, you know, sign production and shit like that. Like, he wants us to, like, gain control of the language, gain control of the media, gain control of the information, right? His whole criticism of postmodernism comes down to the fact that, you know, when Lyotard's up on a tree crying about, like, basically language doesn't mean anything anymore, some fucking bullshit like that, I'm pretty sure that's an exaggeration, but, like, it's like this sort of dissociation with meaning and language. Guattari's like, bitch, get down from this tree. Do you not remember what fucking got you up here, right? And essentially he's saying that because, you know, postmodernism is a very pessimistic outlook, and he criticizes it as being like basically the final stages of capitalist, like, intellectual thought. Basically, he says that, you know, postmodernism is essentially just this fatalistic outlook, and it's just submissive to capitalism because it's especially, and he points out examples in art and architecture where he's just like, look, you know, these people are literally just submitting to the market. His whole idea is that if you want to get real about saving the world, if you want to get real about changing the world, you gotta do one simple fucking thing, and that's control the language, control the media, control how you communicate. Think about how you speak. Think about how the context of things evolve. Think about all the microcultures that you interact with on an everyday basis. That's what he wants you to fucking think about. And he wants you to think about how that is so important that it's intimately connected to literally what's happening with climate change around us. Like, do you really think that we would be taking climate change the same way that we are now if we didn't have these literal cultural values that are telling us that these fucking assholes who are actually polluting the planet, aka not us, but these corporations and shit like that, they get away with the structures that they've been that we've been forced to live with. They get away with all of the actual damage they're doing directly, etc., etc. Would you really think that would be that way if we didn't hold those values? If we didn't hold all of this language that justified that? That's really what he's fucking on about.